Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Breakfast at Ruby's, weekly, semi weekly podcast where we talk about a bunch of recent hot topics, trending topics, a lot of stuff that has to do with pop culture, LGBTQIA topics, and just overall wonderful discussion with some friends, as you can see. For those of you who are listening to this on Spotify and all of those things, this is originally recorded on Twitch, so you can always hang out on twitch.tv/Project Ruby and see the live recordings, including technical difficulties, some interesting conversations off the record, if you will. So yeah, if you want to see all of those things, make sure to follow the channel. But let me introduce all of my guests. On my left, I have Passion. Hi.
Hi.
How are
Period.
you? Who are you? Where can people find you?
I'm doing seductively, thank you. You can find me at PassionsPlanet on every single social media. You cannot escape me. I am always behind you.
Jesus.
And I'm always providing very queer-centric content as a trans woman myself. And period.
Period. Wonderful. And to my right, we have Ed. Hi.
Hi, my name is iGeekedOut, but I go by Ed or Edwin. I'm a queer Latinx variety streamer on Twitch, so you can also follow or find me everywhere under iGeekedOut. So
Yes, wonderful. And you can find me at Project Ruby everywhere. Instagram is the Project Ruby. Those of you watching the video version, you literally see our handles on screen, so make sure to follow anytime. We really appreciate it. So before we get into our scheduled, planned out topics, a little quarantine check. How's everyone doing? What's this past week or these past few days been like for y'all? I can start. Like for me, I basically got back into Netflix. I resubscribed and I was watching some. I did a movie night with the community last week, and we watched Kiki's Delivery Service. So I'm slowly getting into stuff on Netflix again. I just got into Pose. They have the 2 first seasons on there, so I'm just excited to like get a little distracted and just dive into some fictional worlds and realities to kind of escape the current one we're in, which is great. But yeah, how's that been for y'all? We can start with Passion. How's that quarantine been these past few days?
It's been sexy. I mean, it's not been like too bad. There's definitely some lows to it. But I would say I've definitely normalized myself to everything at the moment. And I've really like thrown myself into productivity and produce like YouTube content and Twitch content and just generally like upgrading everything around me that isn't just like computer based, just like my general surroundings in my room and just making sure that it's a positive environment for me. Other than that, yeah, it's just been a lot of just random viewing of things. It's not really been like, oh, films or like TV. I've literally just been sitting there just like watching random ass YouTube compilations that I just finished, and I'm just like, what was the point? And then I go into the next, and then I'm like, what was the point? And then I go into the next, and it's just like a repeating thing at this, point in the quarantine. But other than that, yeah, I'd say it's generally been positive. Aside from it kind of like restricting a lot in regards to like my transition and stuff, but that rolls on after it, floats over. But at the moment, yeah, I'd say it's been pretty, neato.
Yes. Pretty neato indeed. And what about you, Ed?
I've been good. I'm fortunate enough to have a job that allows me to work from home. So I've been working from home. It's almost we're probably like 2.5 months already because we started towards the end of like February, early March. Where we were given the option to work from home. So right now, I'm currently struggling finding that balance of leaving work like downstairs and then like just making my room like my safe space, like like
Yeah.
a space for me to like not have to worry about work. Because usually like it's pretty easy to leave work at work because it's in a separate building. But now that I'm working from home, like no matter where I go or like where I set up my work computer downstairs in the living room. So like even when I would just want to like sit in the living room, doing nothing work related, I get like really tense and anxious just thinking about it. So
Aw.
I've been struggling with that for a little bit. But other than that, I've just been like playing video games, Animal Crossing, like the entire world.
Yes.
Spending hours and hours on Animal Crossing, watching videos. I should probably do something else like start drawing again or read a book. But it's been it's been pretty positive so far. So
Nice. That's
yeah.
good. Well, I can say what hasn't been very positive is kind of some stuff that's been kind of bubbling up on the internet about Miss Doja Cat. I don't really know too much about this, so I'm gonna pass this on to Passion because she was the one who brought this up in our private convo. So yeah, let's. Do you want to get into it, girl?
No.
Okay. So next up, just kidding. Go
Okay.
on.
So Miss Doja of the Cats has been very messy as of late. There was a huge spill over like the past. I'd say it's been surfacing over the past 2 years, but it's really been brought up over like the last 2 years. Wait, I said that wrong. 2 weeks. There we go.
There you go. Hey, listen,
Um,
2 weeks right now feels like 2 years sometimes, so
honestly,
I don't
like
blame
the
For
you.
real.
past 2 months have felt like a week. Um, so she has basically been on a chat website known as Tiny Chat. I'm very familiar with the website as I used to use it back in my Lady Gaga styling days, so like 2010 to 2013 ish. It is essentially a website that you can like chat with your friends on. You can join random people's chat rooms, and you can, find your own clique within there and go on webcam, go on voice, just type in text. And the assumption is that she has been in arguably a very alt-right neo-Nazi led Tiny Chat.
Oh,
And she has been a part of
great.
this for the past 6 years.
6 years.
There's
Wow.
Not
Damn.
6 weeks. Just making sure. Not 6 weeks, right?
apparently she's been in it in the last 2 weeks, so
Ooh. Yikes.
Yikes! Yeah, I was gonna say, damn.
so there's like a faux imager folder of every single thing that's been posted on Lipstick Alley, which is a predominantly pro-black forum, which is where a lot of like tea does like get spoke first, because there's a lot of insiders that post in there. They lead into like blind gossips, which is where people kind of anonymously reveal things who are a part of like the industry, who like, let people know the tea before it goes out. And yeah, there's just like a whole tea spill in regards to it, and there's all details of how she's played up to the fact of being called like the hard M word and changed her name in it in like the group. She doesn't mind being referred to it. She's been anti-black. There's just like a whole big reveal in regards to it. So
Wow.
it's a hot
Damn.
mess. And then on top of that, there was a track that was really delved into within like the last week, where she made a mockery of black deaths that were lost due to police brutality.
Oh.
So
Well,
lovely girl.
that's a topic to joke about, right? That's
Yeah.
definitely common sense isn't that common apparently. As of now, has there been any sort of
She said nothing.
yeah, okay. So she has from the time of the recording of this podcast, because usually with things like this, it's like the moment the podcast is out everywhere, like the next day something new comes out, and it's like, okay, great, we're immediately outdated. So yeah, as of the right now, she hasn't really addressed it. So as you kind of brought this up, and obviously we're not really like a news situation, like we're not gonna like just report on the news, so I was like, how can we like talk about this in a way where we can all kind of discuss and we can all participate in this? So I was thinking, well, first of all, do you think something like this is something that is gonna start getting some traction online and she can potentially see some repercussions from it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, because the whole trends are going and the whole over party hashtag is going off, and it's getting brought to attention. It's just I don't know if people are gonna remember this the next time she drops a song, or if she maybe won't address this and she's just gonna do like a traditional kind of like meme tweet and just slide along a promo of her next song. Like, people forgive and forget very easily.
Yeah.
But saying that, I'm wondering if people just don't care because ultimately she's affiliating herself with problematic white people. And as a Black woman herself, there doesn't seem to be any, I guess, kind of like hesitation to cancel Black people who are affiliating themselves with like controversial like Black people. But because this is white people, I don't think white people will see any need to stop playing her music because ultimately, it's not the massive deal. But of course, predominantly most of the people who are backlashing to this are Black people because she's being so like anti-Black with the words that she's saying. So I can't see this affecting too much because, if she works with an alleged rapist known as Dr. Luke and that doesn't affect their career, then what will?
Right. Yeah, and
Sure.
usually people will only care about things, unfortunately, people will only care about things that directly affect them. And I say this generally speaking, like when the Dr. Luke stuff came out, people still support Kim, for example, Kim Petras, when other things like directors and actors and musicians and stuff like that, when they do problematic things, usually there is some backlash at first, but they eventually get their platforms back, or their controversies get forgotten, or they have like a PR run where they suddenly are like the victim, and they share their own side of the story and whatever. So I feel like I don't think cancel culture, as people like to call it, actually like is a thing. Like, as much as people like kind of try to like say like, oh, cancel culture is bad, like allow people to grow, all that stuff, I just think why, like, how can we claim that people are getting canceled when then like a week later, a month later, a year later, she may come out with a new album and people will forget about it because it's a bop or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? But do you think it's fair? Because I already know that some people are going to have this argument, because it's an argument that has been going on obviously for decades. Do you think it's possible in this case, in other cases as well, do you think it's possible to separate the art from the artist? Do you think that's there's such a thing as that? We can go with Ed this time.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. But piggybacking off of what you both said earlier, I think her career may actually suffer a bit. I think how she how can I phrase this? I'm just thinking back from previous artists who've also been canceled. Like, for instance, let's say Carey Hilson, who had the audacity to say something about Beyonce, and then like, where's Carey Hilson now? Like,
yeah,
in my Spotify playlist. Where is she for you? Because I'm still bumping to Return the Favor. I'm still bumping to Pretty Girl.
I mean, I am too. But like, when was the last time she had like a major like?
She last made news when she alleged that coronavirus was because of 5G.
5G.
So,
but I think the impact, especially just having, especially since Doja Cat, her audience was predominantly geared towards the Black youth and even adults too. I think she'll definitely see some impact. I know her white listeners will probably still be listening to her music, so she'll be fine there. But I'm curious to see. I think this one may be a little different compared to another artist that we'll talk about later in the show. But can we separate the art from the artist? I think so. I know I'll admit that I have some problematic faves that I still listen to and don't vocally support in public, but
right.
I don't know. I'm curious to see what will happen to her.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point when it comes to sometimes like problematic faves and like certain songs and certain movies and certain situations that we may have certain memories associated with them. We may have certain personal connections with pieces of art, and it's unfortunate that it becomes a point where maybe the people involved in making that art or that piece of content were problematic or ended up being problematic in the future. So I think it depends on everyone personally. I don't think it's fair to just say like, oh, don't listen to them or don't do this or whatever. At the same time, I do like the idea of at least like saying to someone like, okay, I get it that you may love that song a lot, but maybe don't promote the fact that you're listening to it. Kind of like what you were saying, like maybe publicly don't say like, oh yeah, I'm listening to this or I'm watching this, because it's whatever you do in private, it's private at the end of the day. But you know, I think it's more of like when people actively endorse someone, then it becomes like, why are you endorsing that person when they are affiliated with this crowd or when they've done this thing or said that thing? So I think that's I think for me personally, that's where the difference lies. Can I separate the art from the artist? I personally can't. For me it's really difficult. Like I remember way back, I think the first artist I truly canceled was Chris Brown, just because, like, you know, obviously the whole Rihanna situation that they had. For me, it's just one of those things where no matter how much of a bop a certain song was, and no matter how talented he was or whatever, I just couldn't. Oh, what happened?
Sorry, I had to take my dog out.
I'll do maybe.
I'm here. I'm turning.
There you go. There you go. We were leaking information. But yeah, I think I it's hard for me because I really can't separate that. It's really difficult for me to do so. But what do you think, Passion?
I don't think. You know, I can't separate anything from anything. It's always been the case for me. It's like I stand going by your name, and of course that has its problematic areas. But the second Timothy Chalamet went to Woody Allen for a film, who was, you know, alleged to be in a relationship with someone underage since the age of 14.
Right.
I was like, all right, girl, you're gone for now. Miss Selena Gomez for also being in that film. All right, girl, I'm not playing you for a good while.
Yeah.
Until Timothy decided to, you know, donate every single lick of coin that he made from that film, and for being a part of it to like an LGBTQIA plus charity. I was like, all right, there we go. We've gotten somewhere. So for me, it's easy just to like block an artist on Spotify, move along. Mute a word on Twitter, move along. It's just so easy for me just to let it go and just move on. But does that mean like I won't say my opinion on the artist? Hell no. Like I'm gonna call out anybody who's actively, you know, promoting this artist on my timeline. I'm gonna, you know, maybe pull a friend to a side and just be like, listen, the T, you can't actively like show support for this artist when they're affiliated with this artist and just all of that shit. Like I know it's a bit much at times, and I understand like pop music is really fucking good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it do be hitting good. But
Right.
there's just so many artists out there that if you really crawl back to this one particular artist who has so many things wrong with them, it's like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
there's so much talent out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, if it's charting, it's easier to call back to as well. I can understand like the locals are probably still going to eat Doja up after this because they're not going to have, you know, any idea about it.
Yeah.
Unless there's really like an active resuscitation to all of this, and she gets dislikes on YouTube every time she uploads. If anybody tries to do an interview with her, there's always a reaction. Then, you know, there's no way it's not going to do anything. But my guess is that she's just going to shy away now for a little bit and just not be active if she's not already speaking about it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm intrigued to kind of see.
Yeah, I wonder
what
if
goes on.
there's gonna be any sort of response from her or anything like that, because it's very divided. Like the reactions to controversy from celebrities, it's either like people will stay away from the internet and everywhere for like a good like couple weeks or even a month or even longer than that, and just not address it at all and just pretend it never happened and forget and hope that people forget. And then on the other side, there's the people who like immediately, like within a few days, if not within like 24 hours or even less, they put out like a statement. It's like already it's a meme at this point where people are like, okay, where's the Notes app apology? I feel like you either get completely like ignoring of the problem, or the person addresses it immediately. And I feel like none of them are like a correct way to go about it, because people will criticize regardless. I think it's some people may like think either or is better than the other, but in my opinion, it's like people are gonna react. Like if I don't want to like support that person, it's not like if they don't address it, or if they address it, it's not gonna change my mind about it. You know what I mean? That's gonna be a thing where like months after and maybe years after, I see maybe that they've done good things and they support good causes and they've actually shown that they've grown as people, then I can be like, okay, let me go back to supporting this person. But usually their reaction or lack thereof isn't a factor for me.
Yeah.
But speaking of people who are controversial and they immediately respond to everything, maybe a little too much, I feel. So this past in the past 24 hours of recording this, Miss Lana Del Rey was the #1 trending topic worldwide for several hours, and essentially I didn't even realize at first that it was supposed to be like an album announcement or teasing or whatever it was, because I only saw the controversy of basically she posted an album like teaser essay situation on Instagram, and she basically said a lot of different things about the industry, about her experience in the industry and stuff like that. But there was like a big problem where people's focus was on a specific paragraph that specifically pointed out Beyonce, Cardi B, Doja Cat, Nicki Minaj, Kalani, Ariana Grande, and Camila Cabello. And she used them as examples of, she basically was trying to make a point where people were calling her out for, quote, glamorizing abuse, and she was saying that the artists that she mentioned post sexual content as their music, and it's fine, but her content is seen as like glamorizing, or I still to this day don't really understand where she was trying to go with that. Because like my thing is that and we can go into like whether or not this was a valid criticism for the industry, and I will jump right into it, because for me it was just so weird that she kind of piled on to this side of the industry that already gets shit on. Like every day people say stuff like, oh, she's not a real artist because her ass is out, or she's not a real artist because she's talking about sex and she's talking about drinking and partying and stuff like that. So it was really weird that she kind of used that as an example when all of these artists that she mentioned, or at least most of them, have been mentioned, like especially critically, as like shallow, and how their songs don't have much substance, and there are a lot of sexual innuendos and sexual nature to their content. So it was really interesting to me that she used that as an example, because women are always criticized for their sexuality, even if like they're literally just standing there, they're getting criticized because they have boobs or because they have a big butt or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, she eventually responded a couple times. She did a couple comment responses, and I think she eventually made another post. I honestly couldn't keep up with all of it. I was like, Lana, just can you not, like, I'm tired. Listen, I have a show to prepare, and you're posting a lot of things, a lot of updates, and this is not Lana hour, okay? We have a lot to get into, girl. But yeah, do y'all think, what did y'all think about Lana's post, like generally speaking, the first post, and then maybe you can get your thoughts in about her reactions to her response, to the responses and stuff like that. We can go with Ed this time.
I think her feelings and frustrations are valid. The way she handled it, or the way I guess she expressed herself, she could have gone a different route without mentioning the names of other artists.
Mm-hmm.
I know she said in comments that it's nothing against them, that she only lists them because those are some of her favorite artists now. Um, I don't know. I struggle between understanding where she's coming from, but also like just why did she have to mention those names? I guess like
Yeah.
and and I know she doesn't. She specifically said it's nothing about like it has nothing to do with race, but it does look. It looks bad when almost 75% of the artists she named were black women. So
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I mean, what are
Even with her, I saw one of the clarifications that she did, and people were like, is she not aware of how she's coming off? Because she was basically like, oh, I was talking about about like women that came off as like fragile, and people were like, are you saying that, like, what are you trying to say about those
yeah,
artists then? Like, it's like, girl.
yeah, I saw that too, where a lot of people were saying that she was with that comment specifically she was masculinizing black women, and
Mm-hmm.
like it just goes back to like that the whole like the stereotype of the angry black woman, which it's I don't know, it's I don't know. I want to root for Lana, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what else she says if she ends up continuing to post something else on the Instagram.
Yeah. Passion, did you think that this, like, she intended on this to come off that way, and she's just like trying to now pass it off as like, oh no, that's totally not what I meant? Or do you think she was genuinely just frustrated about stuff and she mentioned them randomly, and then she didn't realize that it was very anti POC basically, except for Ariana. She's not. She's Italian. She's white.
I don't think she knew at all, but I I don't know. It's so difficult because I love Miss Lizzie Grant, and I do really like fuck with like Born to Die. I love Paradise. I do like think that she's a fantastic, phenomenal artist, and she serves every time like the pure artistry that is there. But she always double downs on her like comments, so I knew for a fact that even if she was wrong in this, she was gonna post saying, no,
Right.
y'all, I'm right. Because she always does this. She's done it in the past several times. And I just knew immediately. I even said to you, didn't I, Ruby? I was just like, I know she's just going to, put her heel down and go, no,
Yeah.
that's my final thought of the day, and y'all will deal. But to see that she didn't even kind of like learn anything from the reaction of like fans in the comments, and, just she replied to herself on that first post twice. And then she moved on to doing a GIF of her in a Tropico short film of her where she's pole dancing with the caption "fuck off."
Why?
And then in between of that, she was just posting random pictures like her in the studio with Jack Antonoff, and after that, she posted just various like family stuff. And then in amongst that, it was more of like written typewriter shit. And then it just I feel like she just kept digging herself deeper and deeper into the mess, and the black community were just ripping her to shreds, rightfully so.
Yeah.
My problem with mostly all of it was that she used the term like race war without like being ironic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she genuinely didn't understand where people were coming from, and that's where it kind of like separates Lana from the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because she thinks of herself as this very glamorous, mature woman, and Karen Del Rey kind of made a point there, didn't she? Because it really shows.
Karen Del Rey.
Not Carey.
Stop. Okay.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. She doesn't like it. She said so in the comments that I'm not being very helpful if I call her Karen.
Yeah.
But
I here's the thing. I think everyone's complaints and criticisms were valid at first. I think her saying that maybe she gets criticized too much for the type of content that she talks about in her music is valid. At the same time, it's also valid. The criticisms that she got were valid because I wasn't super familiar with her discography. But I did ask Passion, who is more familiar with her discography, and there are some lyrical content in her discography that does come off very glamorizing of abuse and situations like that. But then again, it's her art. You know what I mean? It's like, who are we to tell someone how to do their art? Like, if you
But she can't expect that the chart. This is the thing. Is that
right,
she was mostly talking about going number one.
right,
And this is the same girl who, for the last era, she said that her managers hated her because she had an 8-minute song that she wanted to send to radio. Like, make it make sense, love. Because if you're trying to play up that you won a number one, you would have the wise enough decision of picking a song that is actually radio friendly and not trying to talk about abuse and not trying to be like 8 minutes long. Like, come on.
yeah,
She's just, it's very, she's very stood in her ground of just being like, I want to be taken seriously as an artist. But the thing is, girl, you can't expect that. It's not the 60s, 70s anymore. You can't expect your kind of like psychedelic pop rock to be taken seriously on the radio, especially because right now everyone is loving like the black excellence that's happening at the moment, and we love to see it. And you can't just expect us to just kind of take this like, because I do really fuck with her, and I find it so hard to kind of call her like mediocre because she isn't. But people are going to read it as that when there's so much good music at the moment.
right.
People are just kind of vibing, you know, with like Savage and twerking and getting their life, and you know, popping their pussies. Like, we're here for that.
I do
And
think
I can
oh,
only
sorry.
do so much to Lana. No, go on.
I do think I agree with you. Like, people, there was an era in pop music where Lana, that was her element, that was her moment. That was, you know, there was a period of time in the late 2010s where, you know, Lorde was big and Lana had her moment, and I feel like everyone was kind of more in more like mellow, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in like a vibey, more like mid-tempo-ish, slow tempo-ish kind of music, and that was a vibe for a while in pop music. But pop music changes all the time. It's not even like pop culture isn't even pop anymore, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of R&B influences in a lot of R&B artists, and people from all over. Like, Latin music is also super popular, and you would consider that pop music because it's popular. You know, by nature, pop music doesn't have like a specific genre. There's dance influences, there's EDM. Like, there was that whole period of time with Skrillex and dubstep and a lot of that stuff. Like, pop music is never defined by one specific genre. I think it's like she just needs to accept that right now that's not kind of the climate in pop music. Like, be true to yourself, like make whatever music you want to make, but don't expect it to go number one. And it's not like these girls' faults that like you're not number one. Like, some of them, like, barely, like Doja, for example, she literally just got her first number one. You know what I mean? And Kalani, I don't think ever had a number one, and it was very weird that she added her on
I
there.
don't even think she's had a number one.
Yeah, that one was really weird.
She had, I think she had like a top 10 album, top 5 album.
Right.
So she was just kind of clumped in there, which I didn't really understand.
So, you know, and even like if you look at a lot of different artists, like even Ariana, like it's not like every song of hers goes number one, and even like Camila has also seen her like ups and downs, of course. Like, literally all of those artists that she named, like, they're not necessarily like number one every time, and it's very unfair to say that like, oh, their content is this thing that I don't do, because what I do is very artsy and what they do is more sexual and people eat it up. Like, it almost read a little bit like that, but it's also like, girl, you're in a different lane than them. Like, even all of them are in different lanes within themselves. It's like she clumped all of them together, but like not all of them do the same. Like, they're so different, like in styles, in the way that they perform, and like in everything. All of them have all these different appeals to them. Like, it was such a weird take to me.
Just to touch on it quickly, how did y'all feel about her naming Ariana despite collaborating with her literally just last year?
she did say that she mentioned, like, after the controversy hit, she mentioned that, oh, I said those names because they were some of my faves. So
Faves enough to unfollow Ariana on Instagram shortly after that second statement.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's super weird.
maybe
but-
Ariana DM'd her, like, delete it.
But Doja Cat replied on the original post saying suck my dick. So
Yeah, I was gonna say love that, but do we?
quick enough to reply to Lana, but not enough to this recent one.
Interesting.
exactly.
Interesting.
Imagining Camila Cabello trying to like keep up with Beyonce. I'm sorry.
I'm sure Beyonce was just kind of just sat there and just, you know, scrolling through her IG after posting like her last picture.
Yeah, Beyonce was
Messaging
like,
Kelly like,
who? Have they ever met? Do you know if they've been photographed together ever?
they might have, because
Like
Kim and
award
Kanye
shows
had
and
her for like their wedding,
oh.
and yeah, so it just relies, probably Jay's met Lana at least, but yeah, I feel like Beyonce just wouldn't care. She'd just be like, who is this Lana Del Rey girl?
I just love the idea of Beyonce just there's something about like certain artists, it kind of amuses me, like imagining them scrolling through Instagram, because that's just a mundane thing that like we obviously do, but I don't imagine like Beyonce scrolling through Instagram and giving a shit about
She probably
anything.
gets a life. She probably finds her like the queer.
Do you
She has
think?
OnlyFans. I mean, she sung about OnlyFans in the Savage remix.
That's
so
true.
She knows some
Yeah, there's
tea.
a lot of speculation that she has an alt account where she gets her life with all the stans. I just love the
Love to
idea of
see
her
it.
using like K-pop fan cams to interact with others, just to infiltrate stan culture on Twitter. I just love that idea.
I know the Beehive picked a problem with them, with Lana specifically, kind of like discredited Beyonce as an artist, because I think Self-Titled and Lemonade alone has kind of solidified her as being like a true artist at this point.
But also
So-
like,
I don't want to take Lana as saying that she isn't like an artist, but the way that she kind of put that statement kind of makes me think that she kind of discredits their work as being like true artistry, and that Beyonce doesn't write about like real shit when,
right.
you know, Lemonade alone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if when Lana said that she wants to be like a representative for like women who are like fragile, or anyone who's like fragile and like just not like in control, like did she not see Beyonce's Lemonade? That's like her most vulnerable project, where like she clearly showed like the ups and downs of her relationship, like
Right. And Beyonce addresses a lot of stuff, even like personally, like culturally, she addresses shit. And
She's been dragged for a lot. I mean, the feminist thing at the VMAs, Super Bowl, when she brought up the whole like, was it?
Black Panther.
Yeah, there you go. She brought up all of that.
yeah.
Just all subtle things, like Beyonce's, not even just Beyonce, but every single woman of color mentioned in Lana's post has like suffered so much, probably even more than what Lana has. But
Yeah.
I think it's built out of frustration because of how, you know, dragged she was at the start. And like Born to Die was like panned by critics. She was dragged because of her SNL performance. Like, I'm sure it just comes from a frustration where
Yeah.
she knows like her art is, you know, appreciated, but she just doesn't get the recognition, and she only got the recognition with No One Fucking Rockwell last year. So she's probably just like, well, why now?
Right.
And even then, it's not really charting. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, just be grateful. You're white, Lana. That's all I'm gonna say.
And also, like, do you think, because like now that you mentioned like her not charting and stuff like that, I did write this down as a question. Like, do you think this was like low key her trying to promo? Because obviously controversy, and we talked about this on Breakfast at Ruby's before, where there is such a thing as outrage marketing. Like, people get their stuff out there by saying something that's controversial enough that will get them attention, but not bad enough that will get them like completely wiped off of like the internet and nobody will ever listen to them ever again. Do you think that was the case?
Think so.
Yeah, I don't think
Because
so
all she
either.
has to plug is an artistic like poetry book. And she did mention it in one of the posts, but I don't think so. I think she was actually speaking her mind.
Yeah.
And I feel like she doesn't really do it very often, and in a kind of like political sense. But I don't really think so, because her posts are very Lana.
Right.
That makes sense. Like it's written like typewritten and everything, and it's in a particular way. I feel like if it was, she would have ran to like Twitter, or she would have done it in a very particular way of like responding to the artist, replying to her, or she would have, it would have just done it in a better way. But this isn't going to get you a hit. And,
no. Not by pissing off all those fan bases.
Well, not true.
Girl.
I saw a lot of her management also being in agreement with what she was saying too. So
great.
Yeah. So I don't really think it would have gained her anything if it was from that sort of sense. I mean, she's gained followers on Instagram, but I think there's a huge difference between like gaining growth follower wise versus like what a whole community has like dragged you for now.
Yeah.
So I think people will remember this, and I don't think it will slip so easy, especially if we remain in quarantine. The girl's only going to dig herself a little bit deeper unless she educates herself.
Yeah. This quarantine is really like showing a lot of celebrities' true colors. Like it's showing like because a lot of people is like frustrated, and everyone's emotions I feel are coming to like the surface, and it really does show a lot of people's like intentions or what they're thinking. And I feel like as a closing thought, I think that this would have all been, first of all, not a problem if she never mentioned anyone. That's like, isn't that what like media training is for? Like literally rule number one, it's like don't talk about other people, especially if you're gonna say something negative. And like the other thing is like, even if she, obviously after all of this, like couldn't she have listened to the fact that maybe she may have not intended on it being like racially biased, but the fact that it was, and it could have been a good opportunity for her to be like, you know what, y'all, this is a good opportunity for me to actually reflect on why I use these people as examples and why I thought about this in this specific way. And maybe, there's some growth for me to do. And maybe there's a little bit of, because all of us have our upbringings, and everyone is like almost brainwashed in a way to think certain things depending on the environment that you live in and were brought up in and whatever. And I think it could have been a good opportunity for her to reflect on what she said and what she thought, and she could have been like, okay, let me actually reflect on this and maybe think about what I said and maybe learn from this. But obviously that's not what went down, and I don't think it's gonna happen. And we'll see how well her album does. Let's just say that.
Best luck to you with your poetry book, Lana Del Rey.
But speaking of iconic albums, Miss Mariah Carey's album Glitter, after so many years, I don't know how many. Do you happen to know?
It'll be 20 years next year.
There you go. It's finally on streaming services after fans have asked for justice for Glitter. And this comes in the heels of like a lot of albums randomly going number one. A lot of artists, like they're getting stuff like old interviews, old performances, old music videos coming out of the vaults, and everything's getting posted, everything is getting leaked, everything is like outtakes from photo shoots. Obviously the other day, Britney literally changed her album cover because of Glory randomly going number one. So this brings the question, what old or older albums do you think deserve justice? Because Glory has gotten justice finally. Maybe not enough justice, but I'll accept that. Obviously, Glitter is getting some justice. What older albums do you think deserve justice? I think Bionic deserves justice. I think it's like there's an anniversary coming. So I think Bionic by Christina Aguilera deserves some justice. Hopefully we're gonna get some stuff she teased kind of like that the Bionic celebration is loading. So hopefully we're gonna get some stuff for that. But yeah, do you have any passion?
Oh, do I? Leighton Meester's Heartstrings, because I absolutely adore Leighton Meester. She was known as Blair Waldorf in Gossip Girl. She released a dreamy pop record back in 2014, I believe, 14 or 15. And it is just slapper after slapper. Like, it's so fucking good. Unfortunately, it's not really on streaming services in Europe and the UK. It's only on the States, even though we had it for a little while. And it just didn't get enough recognition because she previously did music and she only did pop music. And that featured a song with Robin Thicke back in 2009. And the rest of the songs just kind of like leaked. But yeah, I'd like to see that get recognition. I'd like to see maybe like Ali and AJ in Soniatic get some recognition.
Yeah.
It's just like very random releases that are like pretty stellar. Just, you know, the randomest artists that aren't like current pop artists that you would kind of like expect to still get like recognition if they were to release a song now.
Right.
But yeah, I could go on, and I really don't want to. I know what I'm like.
I really can't think of like a specific album, but just what do I want to be like? What do I want leaked? Or Alicia Keys,
yes.
please just release that that music video with Beyonce. Put in a love song was so good.
Yes. I mean, the footage that we do have is kind of like sprinkled out there, but I would love to put I can't speak. I'm getting so like worked up about it. Put it in a love song music video.
Same.
Scrapped music videos though. Ooh.
Oh my god. I didn't know, like, I don't know how recent this is, but you know that Outrageous by Britney, the one that she like broke her knee while filming that. I saw like randomly today there's like this YouTube channel that basically like remasters and posts a lot of her older videos in like 4K and stuff like that, and like 60 FPS and stuff like that. And I don't know how recent this is, but I saw like a new scene, like a dance scene from that music video come out, and I was like, how much footage do we have of that video? Like, could there actually be like a decent music video that could come out for that? But then again, it's an R. Kelly track, so I don't know if we would want to give royalties to that. But you know, at least I mean, a leak wouldn't be bad, you know, because nobody would get any royalties, but we would, you know, appreciate it as stans, right? I want, like, now that I just got into the Britney boat, girl, I want her Circus Tour DVD to come out, because at the time they couldn't release it because she basically, for the Circus Tour, she had a 360 stage situation where, like, basically it was like a circus, so like people could watch from a lot of different angles, and the DVD was shot that way. But apparently, I think it was the band U2, I think they kind of like they basically got the rights for that, they copyrighted that format or whatever it was. So apparently they couldn't get the royalties, or they couldn't get the licensing to properly release the DVD because they had the rights for that kind of format, which is really weird. But at least that's what people said it was the excuse. So I don't think there was any confirmation on it, but hey, leak it. We're bored. Come on.
Speaking of unreleased DVDs, Formation World Tour DVD, Beyonce, please, if you're watching.
Yes. She knows.
Give it to us.
She's already done interviews and she's already been like, anyway. Music video wise, Kesha's Backstabber music video was leaked by Perez Hilton back in like 2011, 2012. And it's only out there in like 166p.
Ew.
So I would like that in HD.
Yes, please.
There's Madonna's American Life original music video where she makes a political statement about George Bush and she explodes him with a grenade. Would love that in high quality, please.
Damn.
I did not know that.
Me neither.
I hate to say it, and I know we should let this up, but I wouldn't mind "Do What You Want" by Lady Gaga. Mr. R. Kelly is in it, but
blur him out.
It's a hot mess because it basically, has a lot of questionable scenes even within that video. But I'm kind of here to see what was exactly going on during that era. I'm kind of here for a lot of unreleased videos, honestly. It's like Khalees's Milkshake original concept. I would love to see that in HD because it's only out there in like questionable quality. Just like original first music videos that weren't, the second planned concept that were still filmed. Just that kind of like release. Tour wise, I just wouldn't mind tours just uploaded to Netflix. Honestly, I'm gonna be like, keep it real and easy, get it in the best quality, slap it on Netflix, get a deal. Even if it's like pre-existing, like it's not just in that DVD quality that most 90s and early 2000s tours were pushed out on. Like it's out there,
behind the scenes
UHD
footage
quality.
Just saying,
So,
there's probably a lot of that.
Beyonce too. Wouldn't mind Miss Beyonce to slap on her tours.
Yeah,
please, Beyonce.
On
or
Netflix,
like
YouTube,
YouTube originals. It's free now. Like you just basically get ads on it, and it's like very high quality. It gets promoted, and like I know Twice just had like a new like docu-series on there. BTS had one as well, and I really like, I don't understand why artists don't really do that often. Like just literally, like, because that they record their shows. Like obviously the screens that you see in the arenas, in the stadiums, whatever, like that's professional footage that is recorded, and they access it later to like monitor their performances and stuff like that. So obviously there's footage of those things somewhere in the world, so like just release it. The stands want it.
I think they're waiting for the right artist to make it a business move, and I think Beyonce was getting there when she did Beychella. And I think it started to rustle some feathers of people putting things on Netflix, but I think it's gonna take a couple more people, maybe a couple more Beyonce releases, because she has that Netflix deal, and then I think they'll start running. Scooter Braun's gonna fucking like run with the 4 Demi tours no one wants.
Not Demi.
The Lovatics are gonna come for us.
Demi,
I love you.
I mean, he already delved into it with Ariana. She did the
Give me Dangerous Woman.
Yes,
I know it's up on YouTube, and like they did the tour diary thing,
but give me a DVD.
Yeah,
they were recording it.
They released a Ariana audio from our tour, didn't they? But they didn't release it.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
visually.
why would you have like an audio album and not accompany it with like visual footage from your concerts, girl? Like
also backdrops. Release backdrops, please, studios.
Ooh.
If there is a great backdrop, please just slap it on the YouTube. I would kill for Ariana's Be Alright backdrop and like good quality.
Ooh, that was so
like,
good.
Pieced together.
And like that's good watching it online, but like actually being there, because I was fortunate enough to go to the Dangerous Woman concert. Like basically, I'm not gonna lie, she was late. Like we saw her friend Victoria. She did the opening act, and not Victoria Justice.
I was gonna say.
And Victoria Monet, if I'm not mistaken. And then Ariana was supposed to get on, but we were like waiting. We are like, girl, come on. And then all of a sudden, from like a black screen, there she is, like literally footage of her getting ready. Like not literally, but like that's the backdrop that she did for Be Alright. Like we were freaking out. Like obviously most of us knew it from like watching stuff on YouTube, but like being there and seeing that countdown as like the camera was like getting less blurry and stuff, like, oh, that was such a good backdrop. But anyway, there needs to be stuff like that. I'm really surprised. Like I hope that, especially now with the quarantine, I'm hoping that a lot of these artists that are not able to tour, I hope that they are like, hey, let me put this footage on Vivo or something. You know what I mean? Like just let us watch old stuff. You can get ad revenue from it. Like literally, it's win-win. Like,
They're starting to. I know they just did it with Prince. They put a faux show of Prince's for like a week.
ooh.
So the Prince stands for Getting Alive. Mariah started putting out little tour things that were, slowly reeling out. It's just, it's just really weird how they do it. It's never like a complete show. It's never every artist doing it. It's always just like bits and pieces that are kind of like thrown around there. It's like I randomly saw Tina Turner start doing it too, and I'm just like, who? What's going on? Like, why isn't everyone just doing this? Why is it just like random?
I think now's the
artists?
time too. Now's the perfect time to like be releasing stuff like that. I think.
Right.
People are going to be digging. People want like the vault stuff. People just want to fill up their time by consuming the media that they love, or maybe an old concert or something.
Oh, I got my life from like there is leaked footage of 2 different Spice Girl concerts whenever they did a reunion tour back in the 2000s.
2007.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They did a tour for they had the greatest hits situation that they released with headlines and all that stuff. And it's really good quality. It could really go on like a DVD or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, could you imagine like Britney DVDs and like all these different artists DVDs like that never got released for whatever reason? Like, oh, I'm perched for it. And give me the content.
I don't know why artists aren't I like the home performances element of things, but sometimes, girl, they can't do it.
No.
Like, I'm not sitting here watching an artist with their fucking webcam from their laptop and their built-in microphone,
Yeah.
like crunching away like Rita Ora's performances. Like,
Can we talk about how like your average Twitch streamer has a better setup than any of these at-home performances that air on television?
It's so insane. So I don't know why they don't just take stuff out the vault and just be like, oh, here you go. Let's, give this to Good Morning America, because they're doing their summer performance thing at the moment, their concert thing.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are at home performances. I don't know why they don't just get, maybe forgotten performances, maybe deep cut performances, or anything that is kind of rehearsals, anything. It's easy enough, but I guess they don't want to deal with the licensing and all of that crap. But
yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we're running out of time for our show, so let's get into this segment. I figured I used to have a show where at the end of the show we would always have this moment of like positivity where we shared what we were living for and just highlighting some stuff that we were enjoying for that past week. Like it could be albums, it could be games, anything really. And just to end off the show in a more positive note, depending on some shows, like some shows can be pretty negative in terms of topics, but let's get into the things that we're living for. I'll kickstart this because obviously I had a little bit more time to think about these, and I kind of made my own little list, so I give you all some time to think about more stuff if you all want to add stuff to your list and whatever. Obviously I think I'm with a lot of the internet. The one thing to kind of dethrone Lana's controversy in the trending topics was Lady Gaga's and Ariana's epic collaboration. Well, I wouldn't say epic music video of Rain on Me. The track is it keeps growing on me. Like the more I listen to it, the more I really, really, really like it, especially now that there's a music video to go along with it. I'm really, really digging it. My problem with it was that the song leaked early, and the stands were like hyping it up so much, and I was expecting like an epic collab, like I was saying, and it was a good collab, but I wouldn't say it was like a telephone level collab where it was like groundbreaking and everyone is shook and it was like unexpected. And it didn't help that Gaga is really dramatic in her interviews, and she was like, oh, Ariana did something that she never does. Like, girl, she put her hair down. Like, let's not get crazy. She just put her hair down, and she's done that before, and she's also danced before, so like, let's not get crazy. But they both looked incredible. The music video, is actually one of my favorite music videos, like as of recent. Like it's such a well-made music video. Other highlights for me, speaking of amazing music videos, in the K-pop area of things, Tomorrow by Together released their latest single, Can't You See Me, featuring their EP as well, The Dream Chapter Eternity. They're very well known because they're from the same label as BTS, which obviously is like a huge worldwide topic. Every time like one of them sneezes, it's a worldwide topic. It, like literally like they do anything and it's trending always. And one of their members actually did a solo mixtape called D2, August D's. That's his persona from his solo like career sort of thing. This is Suga from BTS. It's free. It was so odd to me seeing like a Dropbox link and stuff like that. He was like, here, a free piece of media from me, and it's on Spotify, all of those wonderful things. Really good collabs as well. I really enjoy both of those EPs, I guess. And yeah, I've also been enjoying, I mentioned it earlier, stuff on Netflix like Kiki's Delivery Service. I'm really excited to get into other Studio Ghibli titles. I just started watching Pose because the second season just got added on Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah, let me get into this. So it's pretty emotional so far, like in a good way. Like you get the feels for them, you're rooting for the characters. It's also very unapologetically queer, which I really enjoy. Those are some of the highlights for me personally. We can go with Ed next. What are some of the things that you're living for these days?
So some of you may or may not know. I'm kidding. A lot of you know that I am a big Twice fan. Twice
Wait, what?
Yeah, shocker,
I'm
right?
shook.
Twice
I'm
is a
shook.
K-pop
This is
girl
breaking
group.
news.
Wait, I also love the number 2. I didn't know that you stand the number 2.
I can't.
I'm like,
Um,
but they're coming back June 1st, and they've been releasing every day a concept film for each member, and obviously I am speechless every time 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
oh no.
I had their schedule memorized. So I'm excited for that. That's been making my day. Day 6, another K-pop band under the brother group of Twice actually also released a new album, The Book of Us the Demon, with their song Zombie, and it's a really good album. This is probably my first comeback as one of their fans. It's a very vulnerable album. Unfortunately, they weren't able to promote it because some of their members were experiencing anxiety and they weren't mentally 100% mentally there. So
right.
Good for their company to prioritize their mental health instead of pushing them to like promote. Mine are just music.
Yes.
And last one is I love listening to music. Chloe and Halle's Do It. Chloe and Halle are a duo under Beyonce's label. Underrated queens. Please go stream Chloe and Halle's Do It. Go stream their album. The Kids Are Alright. It's one of the best. One of my favorite albums from, was it 2018, 2017? Fake fan because I don't even remember. That's what I've been like. I've just been listening to music, and of course, like I said earlier, Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing has been helping me pass time.
Yes. And another thing that I want to add with Day 6 is I actually haven't really been keeping up with their comebacks, but they're a literal band. Like some people say like, oh, it's a K-pop group, like whatever, but like no, they're a literal band. Like they play instruments. Yeah. Like that's why like, you know, in some groups, if one or two of them can't show up because they're sick or because they're having some like anxiety issues or whatever, like there's others that can fill up for them and they can just all dance and whatever. But this is like they're an actual band, so like if you know the drummer isn't there, like girl, nobody's gonna be playing the drums. So, but yeah, good on them for that, because I feel like with the K-pop industry, sometimes they get such a rightfully so, but there's such a thing about how they are so mistreated and everybody is like pushed to overworking and all that stuff, which is true in a lot of aspects. But I'm glad that one of the biggest agencies in South Korea has taken that step. They did that to Twice as well. I remember one of their members was having a lot of anxiety, and they were like, "Girl, just step out of the tour, and we'll figure it out." And yeah, so that's really good for. I hope things are starting to change a little bit with that, because I'm tired of hearing people calling me out like, "Oh, you like K-pop? They're really bad for their artists." I'm like, "No, I promise." Like yeah. But anyway,
Oh, you like yes, gotta go. No kidding.
right? But yeah. What about you, Passion? What are you standing these days?
Well, other than all of the K-pop discussion about how bad they treat their artists, I'll go to another artist whose label also treats them awful, Charlie XCX.
Damn, call her out. Well, her
She,
agency.
yeah, they're a mess. Down with Warner. Charlie has been working on a record while in quarantine, known as How I'm Feeling Now. It's typically glitchy, typical pop, and just very cracked.
So
and of course,
good.
I'm into that concept. It's a lot for your ears, so you might want to turn down the volume like
Yeah.
a little bit for most of it. But it's really fun, really poppy, very experimental. No features this time, just completely her, and we love to see it. So I've been going back to that quite a bit. There's a couple tracks that I'm really drawn to, and I'm trying to let the rest kind of like grow on me, but we're getting there. This week, Carter Rae Jepsen also dropped an album known as Dedicated Side B, which is the B-sides of her record from last year, which is now a year old, Dedicated, which is an incredible pop record. I don't know so much about this side B. It's still kind of like mellowing on me. It takes a little while because Dedicated took me a good few months for me to really appreciate it, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
And lastly, I've been living for a game known as Pinball.
I've heard of it. I've heard of that
Period.
concept.
There's a free Steam game called Pinball FX Free, which is just a handy little game of pinball, which has various skins that you can pick from, which range from like Star Wars, Family Guy, American Dad. There's Jaws, E.T., all licensed material and stuff. It comes with 2 free pinball games, and then the rest is kind of like DLC. But it's really fun, really cute little thing that I can cram in for like a couple minutes beforehand, or like just in case you're preparing for like a podcast that you're on, such as Breakfast at Ruby's, you can slot it in real quick. And it's just like a little cute little time spender I've been enjoying the latter half of this week, and I'm looking forward to playing it some more.
Yes.
That's cute. I have to check it out.
Yeah.
It's super cute, and I'm glad that there's like a free alternative to it, because I wouldn't know how I would feel about a paid pinball game.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that. Like, that was literally my go-to every time. Like, I would be at, like, if ever a computer was presented to me and I was bored, that was literally my go-to. Like, Windows XP, everyone, like, open that pinball, entertain yourself.
Pinball flu.
That was a moment. That was such a moment. But
It's really pretty too. It's not just like straightforward, kind of like how shitty that looked back then. It's 3D.
excuse
There's
you,
animated
watch
models.
your mouth.
I'll keep dragging it. No, I'll keep dragging Miss XP. But no, there's like 3D models of like the characters of like E.T. and Peter Griffin and stuff, kind of like walking around the screen. And all the pinball machines are just kind of like integrated with the license thing. So it's not just, there's so much character to it. There's like voice acting, there's music. There's like a streamer friendly mode so that you can get rid of the licensed music. It's just real cute.
Okay, I
Yeah.
love when
Is it
games do that.
category on Twitch?
Haven't you heard? That's like the #1 directory right now. Everyone.
Oh no, pinball slaps on Twitch. Honestly, there's a big community.
I love
Is
that.
there? Let me.
Yeah,
really see
it's super niche, but like when you get into it, they all support each other. It's really cute.
A random
that.
one that I found out was like very popular was oh my god, poker. I was like, what? Like, I didn't realize how popular poker was, but yeah.
Yeah, that goes off on a directory.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Right. But yeah, I love that only you would like talk so fondly about pinball for so long. Like, I love that. You got so detailed with it, and I feel like very little people would actually appreciate that concept. They would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just playing, pinball, whatever." But yeah, I love that. But I'm gonna have to look into it. I definitely need to look into it because I like me some licensed stuff. They don't do a lot of licensed games these days, We need to get back into
No.
it.
It kind of gave me like very PS3, PS2 vibes, like very licensed, random mini games in amongst
Yeah,
it.
for
And it's super
sure.
easy. It's literally just like you press enter to shoot the ball, and then it's both of the shift keys to change each.
Ooh.
I want to say sword. It's not a sword. What flipper? There we go.
Sword? That is the
You
last
slice
thing
the
I would
ball.
think about.
But yeah, super easy, super accessible, and it's really cute. It's nice.
We love it.
Hashtag stream pinball.
Yes, justice for pinball. But before we go, everyone, thank you, by the way. Let us know what are the things that you're living for currently. Everyone watching this, let us know in our social medias, in the comments for YouTube and all that fun stuff. Speaking of YouTube and social media, where can people find y'all so that they can, witness and experience your wonderful content? We'll start with Passion this time.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
You can find me on PassionsPlanet on every single social media, not YouTube just yet. I'm still having to reach that 100 subscriber mark until I can get that URL.
That's so annoying.
But until then, if you're watching this a couple of months from now, it should be there. But until now, you can find everything kind of like clumped together into one. If you find one social, you'll find the other somewhere. It's easy enough.
Yes. What about you, Ed?
You can also find me on social media under PassionsPlanet. I am Passions Manager.
Yes.
Yes. We love to see
And you can
it.
also find Geeked at Pinball FX3. He is also the social media manager on those sites.
I am.
There you go.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch under iGeekedOut. So pretty simple.
Yes. And what can people expect for y'all's content? Like, I'm trying to promote y'all, and y'all are like,
Sorry.
just casually dropping my link.
Shit. Bottom of the barrel, absolutely, no interest needed. You can throw it in a tab in the background. You'll hear a little peep occasionally, and that'll be enough. But usually, a trans woman playing crap games, absolute dog shite games, but making the most of it and living it up, as Jada once said.
Oh, so fun. Both the live streams and the edited content. Like, y'all are missing out if y'all are not watching. And yeah, what about you, Ed? Your wonderful content. Please spill.
Yes. Aside from Animal Crossing, I love to do a lot of community nights. I love playing games where I interact with my community. So Mario Kart, Jackbox, Scribble.io. I also do a series where I host a listening party for some of my favorite K-pop girl group comebacks.
Yes.
So the next one is definitely going to be twice, June 1st.
Oh, yes. Write it down.
So,
I can't wait to listen to the letter 2.
The letter 2, yeah.
We love the letter 2.
Yes, we do. That sounds like a good K-pop group, actually. Letter 2.
Letter 2, yeah.
Because it could be like the number 2, and it could also be like TO.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're onto something.
Our debut group is coming together.
Oh no.
They kicked me out.
Oh. Would that be a group with only 2 members?
Why?
2? Because 2 in the title?
No, the 3 twisted it up.
Okay.
You gotta switch up a little something. They'll expect like 2 people coming out, then in reality, like 2 could go out, but the third one could be stood behind them, and then they just slide around.
Like they're shadows.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like a little present.
It's a concept. Yeah, sure. We can work on it for sure. Or it's just a bunch of subunits. It's just like 10 members, but like each song only features 2 different members from the group. A concept.
So we just switch between one different person.
Like in between songs, someone else walks out, and then, or sometimes the 2 people walk out. Like, listen, it's a concept. We're working on it. Someone work on trademarking it. Yeah, we'll figure something out. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter at Project Ruby, Instagram, The Project Ruby. I am a singer, talk show host, and gamer, so you can watch a little bit of all of those, and you can expect a lot of those kinds of pieces of content. The gaming streams usually are like retro stuff. I've really been enjoying like the PS1 era, and I've been enjoying the Genesis era. So it's really been fun kind of like delving back into games that I either grew up with or games that I wished I played growing up or stuff that I didn't really get into as a kid because you can only get into so many things in your timeline, and then people are like, hey, you've never checked that thing out, and you're like, no girl. And I love getting into like old series and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been really fun, guys. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to Passion and Ed for joining me today. I really appreciate that. Thank you all for watching and listening. We really appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you next week for a new episode of Breakfast at Ruby's. Bye, everyone.
Period.
Bye.